All right, everyone, we are now live on YouTube.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate the ability to join remotely. I'd say it's good to see everybody, but you're kind of hard to see. Whoop, that's easier. So I call the meeting to order. I'd ask for a roll call vote, identification of the voting members, and the determination of a quorum.
Keep going.
Gotta stay in the game.
Yeah.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Did you hear what I said before?
We couldn't,
Okay.
Dr. Gold, give us just a moment because we can't see you. Okay. All right.
I think I can see her. There we go.
There we go.
Can you see me?
Now we can see you.
Now
Can
we
you
can
hear us, Dr. Gold?
I can hear you and I can see you. Although most of you have your backs facing me, but that's okay.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a little wonky, but I appreciate the ability to do it remotely. So are we good to go, Cecilia? Whoop, you vanished. That's a little better.
And thank you for your patience.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Are we ready to start?
Please.
Great. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. And with that, I would ask for a vote, a roll call of who's president and who the voting members are.
Winnie, will you take the roll?
Sure, I'll go by city. City of Beverly Hills.
Julian Gold, I'm the voting member.
Sharona Nazarian, alternate.
Gabriella Yap, Deputy Seat Manager.
Anyone on Zoom representing Beverly Hills? Hearing none, we'll move to Culver City.
Alex Fish, voting member until 1 p.m.
Göran Eriksson, Culver City, alternate.
That is Shelley Wolfer from Culver City. Anyone else virtually joining us from Culver City? All right, hearing none. Moving forward with Santa Monica.
Bill Brock, voting member.
Anuj Gupta, Deputy City Manager.
Anyone else joining virtually from Santa Monica?
Yeah, this is Jason Klieger, the mobility manager with the city of Santa Monica.
Thank you. Moving on with West Hollywood.
Lauren Meister, I'm the voting member for today.
Corey Plank with the City of West Hollywood Strategic Initiatives Division.
And David Fan, Senior Planner in the Long Range Planning Division, City of West Hollywood.
Perfect. County of Los Angeles. And that will be John Leonard from Supervisorial District 3. Anyone else virtually joining from County of Los Angeles?
Zachary Geidzik, Field Deputy Supervisor Horvath.
Thank you. Let's see. We also have Rachel Evans from City of Beverly Hills joining us from there. City of West, and also Anisha Clark and Martha Eros and Helen Morales from City of Beverly Hills joining virtually. City of Los Angeles.
Jay Greenstein with Council District 5 for another day and a half.
Oh,
Same issue.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Anyone else from City of Los Angeles?
Steve Liu with Office of the Chief Legislative Analyst.
Thank you.
Zachary
and-
Campos with Los Angeles Department of Transportation.
Oh, thank you. All right, I believe that represents all of our member cities.
Okay, and have we established a quorum?
Yes.
Great. So having established it, we'll call the meeting to order. I think it's important to note that we are in a little bit of transition. I know Councilmember Fish will be leaving us, and Mayor Heimovich also from Santa Monica, and we thank everybody, and probably others that I'm missing. We thank everybody who has served for their service, and we look forward to reconstituting the COG after the determination of the each of the councils as to who those representatives will be. So thank you, and we're going to move on. We have two, excuse me, and if you didn't hear before, thank you for the ability to meet remotely. Unfortunately, I had a conflict that could not be moved. I think under the circumstances, we have two large items today, and we probably will have a little less than an hour by the time we start. Perhaps we'll just be mindful in trying and divide our time in half so we can deal with each appropriately, just in terms of some agenda expectation management. Before we begin, and I guess probably before I should be talking, we have to turn to our legal counsel, Lauren Langer, to make findings on the AB 361. Counsel.
Thank you very much. And we've had to do this a few times, and I believe we'll be offering hybrid meetings at least through the beginning of next year. So in order for the board to meet in a hybrid fashion, the board needs to make findings that a statewide state of emergency continues to exist and local and state health officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing in order to conduct this meeting via teleconference. So if we can have a motion in a second and a vote on those findings, we can proceed with the hybrid meeting. Thank you.
Moved. Second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
and West Hollywood.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, the COG meeting notes. These were distributed. Are there any additions, amendments, subtractions, indigestion?
I move the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
and West Hollywood.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Item C, proposed COG project priority and funding allocation for Measure M Sub-Regional Equity Program, or SEP. I understand that Riley is going to kick us off.
That is correct. And Dr. Gold, this, and members of the board, this is probably the major significant item we have on the agenda today. I want to turn it over to Riley. I'm just going to provide some brief background. We've been working on this for quite a bit. Go ahead, Riley.
Yes, thank you, Cecilia, and thank you, Dr. Gold. So this item is an action item to follow through with what we committed to over a year ago to allocate our Measure M Subregional Equity Program funding to our priority projects. The recommended action today is to approve the proposed allocation of at least 62.5%, or approximately $100 million of the COG's projected $160 million in subregional equity program funds for bus rapid transit and bus infrastructure improvements, with the remaining 12.5%, or approximately $20 million of projected funds to support redevelopment activities for the D line or Purple Line extension to Santa Monica. Yes, it should be. All right, one moment. So you should all be able to see this, the screen on Zoom now. And I think I
We
can.
can, it's fine.
Perfect. Great. So anyway, I'll provide some brief background on how we got to this item. So first of all, looking back to the approved recommendation in October 2021, the board approved allocating $40 million or 25% of the COGS SEP allocation to the Crenshaw Northern Extension to support pre-development activities. And at that time also directed COGS staff to work with the transportation working group. So all staff from member jurisdictions focused on transportation to allocate the remaining 75% or at least propose a list of priority projects. And so for that, we followed a data-driven and sub-regional approach, which we described in detail last meeting 2 months ago. So I'll try to go through that background quickly, but our proposed recommendation for today, that priority project list is $100 million or more for bus infrastructure. I've listed some potential corridors here. These are not committing to any of these corridors in particular, but just some of the candidates for this funding, as well as the D line or purple line extension to Santa Monica. So to recap what we've done so far on how we got to this point today, last October, we were directed to develop criteria and a process for the allocation and to develop this recommended list of priority projects and specifically major capital projects. And so as we discussed last meeting, we used criteria from the 2020 Westside COG mobility study, 4 benefit criteria, namely access, time savings, mode shift, and safety. And also considered additional considerations according to the working group of focusing on sub-regional projects and projects that may not have other funding sources that are readily available. And so with that, we prioritized projects based on those benefit criteria and also based on those 5 considerations from the previous slide. We really determined that the Sepulveda Transit Corridor, the D line or purple line to Santa Monica, and bus infrastructure and bus rapid transit were our top 3 priorities as a sub-region. And in further discussions with the working group, we determined that because we had allocated so much of our sub-regional Measure M funds to the Sepulveda Transit Corridor, there wasn't as much benefit of allocating additional funds to that project when we had other pressing needs in terms of the D line to Santa Monica and bus infrastructure across the sub-region. And so with that in mind, I would like to just provide a little bit more detail on the recommendation and some of the potential benefits of these recommended allocations. So again, at least $100 million could go towards bus rapid transit and bus infrastructure. And in our sub-regional plans in that 2020 mobility study and the 2021 Metro long-range strategic project list, we identified some of these corridors that could really benefit from this funding, and it does go across the sub-region. And just to zero in on some of the benefits of funding bus infrastructure, it's really important to recognize that 68% of Metro bus riders have annual household incomes below $25,000. 78% of Metro bus riders do not have regular access to a car, and 89%, almost 90% of riders are people of color. This is based on very recent data from Metro's customer experience survey and very similar trends across the county and in recent years. Just going to show that by investing in bus infrastructure, we are really investing and supporting the communities, some of the communities in the county that are most in need. And it's also important to recognize that Metro has intentions, has devoted years and millions of dollars into planning a bus system that would actually put more buses, more frequent buses on the west side with, as you can see, these red lines on the old system on the left and the new system on the right. Those red lines mean much more frequent service. There would be much more of those frequent lines on the west side, which means those buses are either going to be stuck in the same traffic that many of us drive through, or they will potentially have their own dedicated lanes to move more quickly. And of course, we are also not new to the idea of bus lanes on the west side. We've had bus lanes on Wilshire since 2015 to help speed the metro service along. And we have bus lanes helping out the Big Blue Bus and Santa Monica and West LA, Marina Del Rey communities along Lincoln Boulevard, as well as new dedicated bus lanes in Culver City, 2.6 miles of which have been implemented very quickly and very successfully over the past year or two. And this project in particular, there are some very recent and very compelling data showing some of the benefits of this type of infrastructure, a 52% increase in bus ridership, as well as a up to 26% faster travel times during the afternoon peak. And so we know that this investment in bus infrastructure is both very effective and has a lot of benefits to some of the communities that need the most support. And the last item I'll quickly mention is that Metro also has its own pot of money dedicated to bus rapid transit across the county that has not been programmed yet, but they've signaled an intention to distribute some of this funding to the west side. And I think the question is going to be how soon they will do so, because 2 of their top 5 corridors from their recent 2021 BRT study include La Cienega and Venice, but they have chosen Broadway as their first corridor to prioritize. So with that in mind, and I'll pause just momentarily. I see there's a comment in the chat from David Fenn noting that there are also peak hour bus lanes under construction on La Brea, and that's in West Hollywood and Los Angeles. So this is something that's being implemented across all of our jurisdictions, or at least nearly all of our jurisdictions. And Metro has identified a strategy of a quick build approach for some of these top BRT corridors to complement their next gen bus study and bus plan. And again, they have tens of millions of dollars of funding that could be programmed anywhere across the county. So we have this opportunity with this sub-regional equity program fund to actually commit towards the safety, sustainability, and equity goals of our jurisdictions to support the not only Metro, but also our municipal operators, Big Blue Bus, Culver City Bus, investing in time savings for those services, as well as enabling a mode shift, enabling people to shift to riding the bus. And we have this unique opportunity with these funds that Metro has allocated, the funds that we are proposing to allocate, for a lot of near-term improvements to complement those that are already being done among bus and rail and other modes of transportation. We also have a really unique opening right now because we have the Olympics coming to our sub-region in 2028. There's a really compelling argument for more federal funding and state funding for those Olympic Games and other major events in and around the West Side. And the CEO of Metro, Stephanie Wiggins, has already signaled an intention to make those Olympics car-free. That will require investments like bus lanes and bus rapid transit. And then just following up the D-line extension, this would also be a direct investment in West LA and Santa Monica, and it would complement the investment, that's huge investment that's already being made along Wilshire to serve Westwood, Beverly Hills, and the Crenshaw North extension to right here in West Hollywood. It really is a chance to support the West Side's workforce. We're one of the biggest job centers, as you all know, in the country, and this is a chance to make it easier for those workers and those employees to get to work, to actually, come to the West Side, spend their money here, tourists to get to the West Side. And it's an alternative to the Expo line and a way of connecting our universities and hospitals and many other services along that Wilshire corridor, and really finally complete that vision of the subway all the way to Santa Monica. So the last thing I'll mention is that we did recently receive a 5-year cash flow that includes some sub-regional equity program funds. It's not a lot. It's frankly a very tiny fraction of the eventual amount, but it is a chance to use some of that funding in the near term. And we can zoom in on this chart just to read it a little bit more clearly. About $5 million in total that would enable some of those near-term investments and potentially more funding coming in the future. So I will pause there for questions. We do have Metro staff on the line that can answer questions about the SEP flow in particular. And thank you all.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. If everybody's okay with it, it would make it a little easier for me if the questions came by jurisdiction. So if we perhaps start with Culver City and come back to Beverly Hills at the end. Do either of the representatives have questions?
I have no questions. I support the recommended action.
Great,
No question.
thank you. And Santa Monica?
No questions.
All right, this may be quick. West Hollywood.
No questions, and I support it.
Great, thank you.
If that was a motion, council,
So moved.
all right, then I would
But
second.
before you, but I just have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Dr. Gold, we also have public comments after this, so.
Okay. But we can hope, we do have a motion in a second, and so that's great. I just really want to talk about the cash flow here and understand there's $100 million that's due us by 2040, which seems like a long ways away. And you know, in this time frame, we're only going to see $5 million. Why is this not a linear cash flow? Why wouldn't you take 100 million and divide it over whatever it is, 15 years, and we would get whatever that allocation is?
Dr. Gold, we would like to invite Metro staff to unmute and provide some context of cash flow.
Good afternoon. Craig Hoshijima with LA Metro in the planning department. I did take the liberty to prepare a few slides, so if you wouldn't mind, I think it would help communicate some of the issues.
Sure.
Okay, so the Sub-Regional Equity Program, which we use the acronym SEP, is a Measure M multi-year sub-regional program, or MSP. So it's one of the many MSPs that are allocated to the various subregions. This SEP was programmed in the third decade. What that means is that although the funds are eligible to be spent between 2018 and 2057 per the ordinance, the proposal to include the sub-regional equity program was made at the board meeting that approved this ordinance, and at that point, all of the funding capacity was gone. So the only available capacity since then has been in after 2040. And so in our financial forecast that Metro prepares, we show that all of the sub-regional equity program is spent starting in 2043. What happened recently is that Metro identified financial capacity to allocate 50 million of the total. The total is 1.196 billion. We have advanced some of that for other projects, but most of the 1.196 billion is still available. And Metro staff determined that 50 million could be advanced now and allocated to all subregions. What has happened recently is Metro has been the recipient of a large amount of federal stimulus, state surplus funding, and healthy sales tax growth, along with relatively slow expenditures of many of our Measure M capital projects. And so that's created an estimated $50 million of capacity that we are currently allocating to each of the subregions. The 50 million has been divided up proportionally to the subregions and allocated equally over 5 years, FY24 to FY28.
Is that a pause or a stop?
It's Craig trying to work his computer.
Thank you.
So I've just got a few more slides, Mr. Chair, and I can get through this. So I think we just saw this cash flow. This is what Riley showed. So I don't have much to say. It shows that the amount allocated to West Side cities for the sub-regional equity program is 1.3 billion. And we're only allocating 4 of the 5 years because under our guidelines, when we release cash flows to each of the subregions every year, we go out in 5-year increments. And this last Halloween, we released the 2022 cash flows, and they only go through 2027. But you'll get that last 1.3 million when we release the cash flows next October. The allocation to West Side cities of the total 50 million is based on the total sub-regional equity program that's allocated to West Side, and that is shown on the pie chart. The orange is the West Side city share, and there's a little formula here if you're a math person. We're allocating 160 million is the total for West Side over the entire sub-regional equity program, which is 1.196 billion. It's approximately 13%. So you all get 13% of the 50 million, and it's spread out over 5 years. Going forward, we will make sub-regional equity funds available based on availability. So that would be based on Metro's assessment of financial capacity. We do not see any pending financial capacity to allocate any more. We will release the cash flows per our guidelines every year, but at this time, we do not foresee any additional capacity to allocate sub-regional equity program to the subregions. However, Metro does have a policy. It's called the Early Project Delivery Strategy, and this policy has been in effect for approximately 3 or 4 years. And the subregions can request that the sub-regional equity funds are advanced, but the Metro staff has to go through a policy and score the proposal, because we are trying to guard against any negative impact on other Metro projects if the sub-regional equity funds are to be advanced. And that concludes, oh, well, one more thing. I just wanted to go over, Mr. Chair, what you initially introduced is how is the monies allocated? Could it just be given to the subregions proportionally over time? And so for the MSP, the multi-year subregional program that currently is allocated to the West Side cities, which is the active transportation MSP, it is generally proportional. There's a step up in 2027 because this MSP, like all of the MSPs in our ordinance, follow a formula that's in the Metro guidelines. And the formula is, it's over 40 years. So you get 1% for 10 years, and then you get 3% for 30 years. And so we're coming up on the 10 years of the first 10 years, which is the 1%, and you see it ramp up. That's when we go to 3%. And the amounts increase gradually, and that's due to inflation. So hopefully that explains how the MSPs that are currently available, that's how the monies will be allocated to West Side cities. And that concludes my slide. So I trust that I answered all or a portion of your question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you have in fact answered the question. Let me just reflect that, I mean, obviously I support this, but that said, I mean, this is a very long timeline. And we don't really know what the future of buses are in 2040, 50 or whatever. And it would be really nice to be able to improve the bus rider experience today. And it just seems like there's not a lot of money to do that. And so, I mean, some money is better than no money. But candidly, I would have hoped that there was more money available to do more in the near term. But anyway, that just reflects my opinion on this. I don't know if there are any Councilmember Nazarian that you haven't spoken.
No, I don't have any comments at this
Okay.
time, but I do agree with what you're saying, Chair Gold.
Okay. Okay. Any other, if there are no other comments, anybody else have another comment? Okay, we have a I'm sorry.
Sorry, I know we do have a public comment on this item. I did also want to just try to maybe answer your question from the COG staff perspective as well. And I think we definitely hear your concerns about the small amount of near-term funds, but this allocation decision opportunity to start using those funds now and then to help Metro plan out how we're going to use those longer term funds and potentially could advance those funds, as Craig mentioned, with the early project strategy. So with that, we can.
Yeah, I mean, Riley, not to belabor the point though, we're allocating $100 million in a very long term, not knowing what the future of buses are. I mean, anyway, let's take the public comment.
Yeah, and Dr. Gould, as the member of the public is coming forth, this can always be changed. This is not etched in stone. And so that's this is
Okay.
just a general direction.
Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm a resident of West Hollywood, and I am by choice car free. So your discussion today applies to people like me. I use public transit and I bicycle most of the time to get around. And I thank the Council of Governments staff and members for supporting this item, which I think is very important. And it will be very helpful to have bus rapid transit on La Brea, La Cienega, Sepulveda, and Lincoln, because they contribute to a network of rail and bus rapid transit, because all of them connect to at least one, if not two, metro rail lines, existing, or in the case of the Purple Line, near future, and also hopefully the Crenshaw line coming up from Exposition Boulevard to West Hollywood and Hollywood. And just to give you an example of how this would be helpful, I go down to Inglewood to the Inglewood Forum. How can we get down there without a car? There's a bus that goes down La Brea. At rush hour, the bicycle to Inglewood is faster than the bus. I take the bus down to the Crenshaw line, now at Exposition Boulevard, go down to downtown Inglewood. So it would be very nice to be able to ride the Crenshaw line all the way up to West Hollywood from downtown Inglewood, or catch a bus rapid transit. It will be improved by the current rush hour dedicated bus lanes that just started construction on La Brea. So I hope that one day, for those of you, and I suspect there are some who drove to this meeting, that we will, as a region, have a network of very convenient public transit that you could all come to all of these meetings that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there other public comment?
No, I do not believe so. Do we have any comments on the screen, those two chats? No? Okay. Dr. Gold, I think that concludes public comment on this item.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Can we take a roll call vote, please?
Oh, look, okay. Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
and West Hollywood.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to move on to item D on our agenda. This is the West Side Regional Behavioral Health Center Feasibility Work Plan. A lot of words there. Winnie, will you drive this, please?
Yes, I have a presentation that we're pulling up. Perfect. At the last boarding out, I'll try to be quick so we can have some time for discussion. At the last board meeting, the board debriefed from the Be Well OC presentation back in September, and the cities provided a brief overview and updates on the behavioral health related programs. There was also a consensus among the cities to explore a regional work plan for next steps in coordinated effort. And the chair had directed COG staff to come back in the December meeting with a work plan on the coordinated efforts. Next slide. So we work closely with the homelessness working group to draft this proposed work plan, which I will go through this presentation to identify the critical path to both research and discussions, as well as partnerships. The first item is ongoing engagement with the COG homelessness group. We propose that we continue engaging with this group since they are already closely involved with social and behavioral health related programs and services. We currently meet monthly and will implement and guide the activities outlined in this work plan and invite relevant and other key stakeholders to the table to join our discussions and the planning process. And this may include other city departments, Department of Mental Health, first responders, hospitals, and service providers. Next slide. Thank you. The second step is updating this landscape scan that our staff has put together on the current services and programs on the west side, which we presented back in September. We will continue to update this information and inform the ongoing discussions with our stakeholders and partners, and also identify potential gaps in services that could be housed in this proposed regional facility. And then the third step is initiate discussions with legal counsel on the service planning area. The County of Los Angeles health, social, mental, and homeless services are provided by service planning areas known as SPAs. And the city of Beverly Hills, Culver City, and Santa Monica on the west side are located in SPA 5, whereas West Hollywood is located in SPA 4. And this poses a challenge for the city of West Hollywood to access services if the proposed regional facility would happen to be in a different SPA region. So we advise that the COG staff initiate a meeting between the county council and the COG legal counsel to understand the potential barriers for the city of West Hollywood to access services outside of the SPA 4 region and discuss solutions and possible exemptions so that the city can participate in the COG's coordinated efforts and this feasibility study for a regional facility. And we hope to start this in January. Next slide. We do have some incoming new board members representing the county and other cities. So our next step is to brief the new board members as well as state and federal legislators representing this West Side subregion on a work plan and discuss potential partnership and coordinate the efforts with the members' jurisdictions. And we hope to start that once they're onboarded at the beginning of the year. Next slide. We will also like to start engaging with other stakeholders, including the County Department of Mental Health, philanthropic organizations, potential organizations, including hospitals, to inform our efforts and our plan, as well as forge strategic partnerships and identify grant funding to bring on consultants or individuals with subject matter expertise to develop a comprehensive behavioral health strategy and an operational plan for this proposed regional facility. And this is something that the city of Santa Monica is currently working on for their comprehensive behavioral health strategy plan. And we hope to start that within the first quarter of next 2023. Next slide. And as mentioned about bringing on a consultant with subject matter expertise, we would like to put out request for information and qualifications, or FIQ, for a feasibility study for a West Side Regional Center. We propose a similar approach to Santa Monica to determine the feasibility, which includes identifying potential sites, conducting necessary analysis, community engagement to identify operational needs, programming plan, including identifying the scale of services, potential staffing structure, bed capacities, and other desired outcomes, also a financing plan to identify how much it'll cost our region to acquire potential sites, as well as one-time and ongoing capital and operating costs to stand up this facility. This consultant would also help us with strategy for partnerships and explore any interagency cooperative agreements. And we hope to develop a scope of work with the homelessness working group, just have a draft. So when we go out to engage with the other potential funders, we could possibly get this RFIQ funded. And then the last slide is once we care and complete the feasibility study, we can identify potential implementation next steps. And that concludes the work plan, and we'll open up to questions from the board.
Thank you very much. Why don't we do the same thing? Start with Culver City.
No questions. This is very exciting. It's obviously a long time frame and a big project, but I like the ambition and I'm thrilled with the work plan.
Thank you, sir. Santa Monica.
We're thrilled with the possibilities. It is something that's absolutely necessary for our cities. It is an imperative, and I hope the work goes quickly and efficiently so that we can work toward establishing what's needed to help our residents who are on the streets in our cities.
Thank you, sir. West Hollywood.
Yeah, I just want to also support this, but emphasize the need for number 3 in the work plan, which is initiating the discussions with legal counsels regarding service plan areas, because West Hollywood is in SBA 4, whereas everyone else is in SBA 5. In our area, we also have Skid Row and Hollywood, and that really makes it quite challenging for us to be seen as a city that needs, the county's help on homelessness issues. And we are also very excited about the thought of having an actual facility as we go forward with our crisis, mobile crisis response teams. We want to know that there's some place we can refer people. So, but those two things go hand in hand. So thank you.
You know, and I would underscore that it makes no sense that, I mean, as a COG, we work to develop all of these regional programmings for all kinds of things. And why for this particular one, West Hollywood would not be included with us, just to me makes no sense. So I think we as a COG should do whatever we can, and individually as cities also, to support whatever it would take to ensure that West Hollywood could work with us to get this done. That would be my hope going forward. I share everybody else's enthusiasm for the project, and I also share the notion that this needs to be done timely. And so everything we can do to be expeditious with it is something that we should do. Is this a formal action? Do we need a formal approval?
Yes, I do want to add that this proposed facility is not just for unhoused individuals. Just wanted to frame that. This will be an iterative process. So this work plan can be amended anytime in the future, but if there is an action. Next slide,
I don't think we have a
please.
motion on the floor yet.
So moved.
Second.
Great. And before we vote, is there any public comment?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
So with programs like this, I think it's extremely important for us to have a holistic approach. Are we looking at maybe even having a work skills type of program involved with it? Because we want to be able to help people who are also on the verge of homelessness, but also developing the proper skills that they need to be able to be active members of our community. And so if we don't plan long range and have those skills, as well as
educating the youth, educating the children or the younger people that are affected by this. I think those are two aspects that we should also look at that would be more effective and productive. Thank you. Thank you. We can certainly make sure that's part of our RFIQ. Those are elements of the plan. Thank you.
Great. If there are no other comments, we have a first motion and a second. The roll call, please.
Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
West Hollywood.
Yes. Right.
Fantastic. Cecilia, to you.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go quickly, knowing that it's 1 minute to the hour. Executive Director's report, you'll note that we have set forth the schedule for meetings next year, and we're going to be alternating one of the 3 cities that have the capacity to do hybrid meetings. I promise we're going to get better at this, Dr. Gold. We'll give it our best shot.
Work for me. Thank you very much.
Okay. And then lastly, this is quite important. We're directed to page 23. We have a number of positions that we need to fill, particularly at SCAG. We are going to be opening up nominations for our representatives, the SCAG Energy and Environment Committee, the Transportation Committee, our League of California Cities COG Regional Director, our SCAG Regional Council representative. And it seems like every time we meet, get another representative to the Metro West Side Central Service Council. Never ends. So we encourage our members to please put forth your nominations if you're interested or your colleagues on your councils are interested. All of it is in the staff report, but this is really important and coming up quickly, particularly the regional council representative. As you might recall, it's quite an involved process. Given our hybrid world, we're going to talk to SCAG and see if we might get some relief from some of the onerous requirements of that election. And we are in contact with them now. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Cecilia and Dr. Gold, we need to go back to item 3E because that was an action item.
Okay. Item 3 was the meeting piece.
Oh, the meeting piece. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that
sorry.
needs to be,
We have
there needs to be a
adopt
motion. Yeah.
it. Sorry about that.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Great. A second?
Second.
Thank
Such
you.
such enthusiasm. Okay. Roll call.
Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Santa Monica.
Yes.
And West Hollywood.
Yes.
Great.
Or city.
Culver City,
Or
yes.
city.
Oh, Culver City, which is council member Yaron Erickson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
That was a tough one. Mr. Kiernan, you have 30 seconds for us?
We have a question from Council. From Laura
Yes,
Meister.
I had a question on the item on the SCAG committees.
Yes.
CEHD is not on there. Is that on a different timeline?
I think
Because of the availability, I mean, of the people who are no longer.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. We don't have to, we're not filling a vacancy, but I think Winnie checked all of these. So, and I believe you're our representative. No, somebody's, okay, but we'll double check. Yeah, okay. Okay. And that concludes my report, really, I think this time.
Thank
Yes.
you. Mr. Kiernan, anything burning we need to talk about?
Just a quick note. For the board members here in person, I've dropped off the first 7 pages of our legislative briefing book, which is the legislative year in review. I also do have with me the 2023 priorities that I also gave the board members. I'll just read the highlights here. We have 4 goals for the coming year. It's protect and expand investments to prevent and reduce homelessness, increase the supply and affordability of housing while retaining local decision-making, improve public safety in California communities, and safeguard essential revenues and support fiscal sustainability. And with that, I will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Will you send that around electronically also?
Yes, actually, the first bullet of my report that's in your agenda is the legislative briefing book. So I just took the first 7 pages here.
Fantastic. Okay. So
Priorities.
you didn't do anything different. That's great. You can read the announcements. We've done the future meetings. Our next meeting is Thursday, February 9, 2023, I assume.
That's
at
right.
noon. Are there any members of the public who would like to address us?
Doesn't look, what? We have one?
No, I'm telling
Okay.
you that
Oh, okay.
I don't have a comment. I just want to remind you that for any of you who would like to take, so we can brag a little bit about a new aquatic and recreational facility, we'll give you a quick tour as soon as the meeting is over. So it's a wonderful facility and you should take a look at it if you have the time. So it's available for anyone who would like to partake.
Thank you, Hernan.
You guys gonna go for a swim, an afternoon swim?
If you brought your Speedos.
Now that's too much information. Okay. Are there any staff comments? Hearing and
Yes, I have an announcement. Just wanted to share with you, the county is hosting a webinar for the third round of Project Home Key, which the NOFA will come out in March 2023. So this is another opportunity for partnerships to develop more housing on the West Side. And that webinar is Wednesday, December 14th. Please email our staff and we can provide more information on that.
fantastic. Thank you for that. Any others? Anything else?
Riley has a comment.
Yes, I just want to let anyone online know to use the raise hand feature, or feel free to speak up, staff or anyone on the attendees, members of the public, please, if you would like to comment. I cannot open this chat because this is being broadcast live. So if anyone would like to speak, public comments or staff comments, please do so.
Okay, I don't see any hands.
Silence is golden.
We good?
We're good.
All right, so with that, I thank everybody. Hope everybody has a safe and healthy and fun holiday. We'll see you after the new year. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Gold.
Thank you all so much.
Okay.
Okay,
Done.
nice
Another-
job.